Carla, we're ready, and I'd like to turn the floor over to you, please.
Okay, thank you so much, Russ. And hello, and welcome to the Federal Government Distance Learning Association's webinar series. I'm Carla Lane, FGDLA's Vice President for the Higher Education Sector and the moderator for today's webinar. FGDLA is a nonprofit professional association formed to promote the development and the application of distance learning in the federal government. We actively foster collaboration and understanding among those involved in leveraging technology and instructional media in support of the education and training needs of the federal government. FGDLA is a member of the United States Distance Learning Association. Our membership is derived primarily from individuals employed by the agencies within the federal government. We invite you to join with us in this exciting field. You can get membership information on our web address. It's fgdla.us. For upcoming events, on March 16th, Carla Iskowich and Gracia Arroyas will tell us about their work with foreign language accessibility. Dr. Jennifer Barricchio will discuss game-based activity development on April 20th. Dr. Jonathan Peters will discuss training and education with gaming on May 15th. I'll discuss the evaluation of online training on June 23rd. And Erica Jacobs and Larry Smith will tell us about the new Marines training environment on July 20th. We are so proud that Zoom is the sponsor of FGDLA and has been instrumental in helping us present the webinars. We'd like to thank Zoom and Russ Colbert for sponsoring today's webinar. They are the best partners we could have, and they are one of our new and valued sponsors. Russ, thank you so much.
Carla, you are not welcome. You're very welcome, of course, Carla. Thank you.
Thank you, Russ.
Thank you.
So moving on to our topic for today is microlearning videos, formatting and recording tips and tricks. We have an expert on microlearning from the IRS. He is Kelly Barrett, who is a certified instructional designer and an online training professional. The discussion will focus on two types of microlearning video, demonstration and presentation, to engage learners and help them stay on top of what they need to know. Kelly Schatz earned the FGDLA's 5-Star Award in 2018, and Kelly earned the FGDLA's Pioneer Award in 2021. Kelly Schatz also earned the Training Officers Consortium Innovation Award in 2021. His knowledge in this area is remarkable. Kelly, welcome, and thank you for being with us today. The floor is yours.
Thank you very much, and I appreciate the opportunity to present to you guys again. I did present last July on our microlearning videos or the SHOTS program. And so I like to start and hopefully have an interactive session because I think it just makes it more interesting and involving. So please answer this question either in chat or you can come off mute if you so desire. Have you begun developing any microlearning videos at your organization? And I emphasize the word videos. So let me know if this is something that has caught fire.
The first thing right away, Kelly. Yes. More.
Excellent. Excellent.
Not yet.
Okay. Because it also helps me know what the interest is out there, who hasn't done it yet, and who is actively participating in it. It's like we have 11 responses, but 53 participants. So if you can please go ahead and put in chat, or again, you can come off mute as well. And while you're answering that, I'll just talk a little bit about myself and our SHOTS program. SHOTS stands for Self-Help Online Tutorials. And I started the program at the IRS about 9 years ago now. Can't believe it's been that long. And it just started out as an e-learning designer and project manager. And I was doing courses that were, 80 slides long. And I was just putting myself in the students' shoes saying, I would not want to sit through 80 slides of anything or 4 hours of virtual instruction or even more than an hour for that matter. And a lot of the videos we were or e-learning that we were creating was largely like screenshots and the how-to information I realized would quickly goes out of your memory. They say that if you don't use the training within the first 30 days, 80 to 90% of that training goes right out the window. And yet you get that magic check mark in your LMS history that you took that training, but that doesn't mean you remember it, especially as more time goes on since you went to that training. So excellent. Thank you for replying to this question. I appreciate it. So we'll move along. Again, here's what SHOT stands for. And this is a screenshot of our video library at the IRS. We are SharePoint based at this moment. We're part of the knowledge management program at the IRS. And it's a great way to help not just capture knowledge by video, but transferring that knowledge as well. We provide over on the left an opportunity, and again, I can't use my work computer because we're restricted through the firewall. As you can imagine, dealing with taxes needs to be locked down. So unfortunately, I have to do screenshots because I use my home computer.
You mean you're protecting my personal information, Kelly?
I personally am protecting your personal information. Yes.
Well, thank you for doing that.
No problem. But as I said, you can search through the clicking the browse all videos. We have currently, and I'll show this in a second, but many videos on our site. We also have a search feature, as you can see there at the bottom, similar to YouTube. If you put in a keyword search, all you'll get are SHOTS videos as results. We set up a vertical search on the back end and makes it so much easier to find what you're looking for, especially when it's video related. We also have a link there on the left called New Employees. And what we've done is we've tagged our videos that we feel would be beneficial or useful to employees that are new to the IRS, and they can hyperlink to just that page, which provides between 50 to 60 videos to help new employees get acclimated quickly to the IRS, such as how to input your time, or how to set up your direct deposit in my EPP, or what AWS is, or what teleworking means, different videos like that. And so that's been a huge hit. It's used during orientation and allows employees to learn what SHOTS is right from day one. So it's a great marketing tool too. So as I mentioned, we currently have over 700 videos on our site. Again, that's over 9 years, but we are constantly being asked to create videos. I just created or recorded 5 videos last night, and I'm editing those currently. And they are on how to use Microsoft Teams at the IRS. We just got Microsoft Teams rolled out, and that's and rolled out to 84,000 plus employees nationwide. So as you can imagine, that can be a big question creator, because it's quite different than Skype that we've been using before, or ZoomGov for that matter. And right now we're averaging right around 30,000 views per month of our 84,000 employees. And I think our total views are upwards of 850,000 views to date. So it's been huge. It's taken off like wildfire out here. I do see there's a question in the Q&A, but let me see if I can pull that up. Okay.
It's about whether somebody can come off mute. Russ, can you tell us how to do that?
In a webinar, an attendee cannot come off of mute unless the host of a webinar gives them approval to do that. So if you want me to do that, Kelly, I'll be happy to do that. And the person that's making that request, if you just put your name in the chat and just let me know that you desire to come off mute, then I can take you off of mute, and I'll give you a cue when I've done that, if that's okay.
That'd be great. That'd be perfect. Thank you.
Okay.
All right. So moving along, SHOTS are microlearning videos. And I'm going to again put a question to you all. When you think of microlearning, what comes to mind? What do you think microlearning means to you? And again, go ahead and put it in the chat, or if you'd like to come off mute, let Russ know. And I love infographics. Hopefully you'll notice from this presentation, I use text sparingly because I truly believe that a picture says 1,000 words. And I think that the slides should simply be there to reinforce what's being said. So what answers have we got, Russ?
We've got short of up to 5 minutes. Everything looks short, snackable,
I love
a
that.
few steps
I like that. Snack.
to
It's
complete a
almost lunchtime
process.
here. Nice.
5 to 10 minutes.
Yeah.
Another snackable learning, short captures of information, up to 5 minutes, one learning objective, less than 10 minutes in length,
Nice.
single focus, concise,
Yes.
one learning objective, small amounts of learning, single focus again, short videos on a single topic, small amounts. It looks like a consensus short burst of information.
Very nice.
Perfect.
Perfect.
Get what I need when I need it.
Oh, that's like key right there. I love
Small
it.
tidbits. Boy, you could really get a lot of information from our chat here on this.
See, this is what I'm saying. We teach each other, right? I don't need to spot off everything. You all know it. And so thank you for answering. But exactly right. I like the bite size. I like the snackable. Get what you need when you need it. Perfect. Perfect answers.
Get a load of this one, Kelly. Get a load of this one.
Okay.
Mini muscle from Edwin. Mini
Okay.
muscle, short term.
Nice. Mini muscle.
That about covers it.
Perfect. I like to, when I do my training classes, I like to give out 1,000 Kelly bucks to people that answer. So everybody that answered gets 1,000 Kelly bucks. Congratulations. Redeemable here in Utah where I am. And you can redeem it for some smoked barbecue. I love to smoke brisket, ribs, pizza, etc. So anyway.
Can you include it in your tax return?
No, unfortunately.
Oh,
Yeah. And it's free of charge, so I don't have to pay taxes. Anyway, next question for you. Video versus reading. Which do you prefer when you're trying to learn something new? And I hate to say this, but I'm in the video boat. I go to YouTube for just about everything. My ice maker recently broke in my fridge, and it's only 2 years old. My wife was not pleased, and so I went online. He found a YouTube video on my specific refrigerator. He told me what part to get, which screws to take out, what connections to undo, and I was able to follow along perfectly. It took me about 20 minutes. It cost me about $100 for the part, for the motor, for the new ice maker, and it works perfectly now. And I was able to do it following his video. It was awesome. And honestly, I think more and more, and it's not even age related. Anyone, I've had people tell me that they've helped tear apart their washing machine and fixed it using watching videos. It doesn't matter. We are a population that are gearing towards more and more towards videos to help us fix something, learn something new, make a new recipe. So in the chat, what's the consensus, do you think? Is it more video or more reading?
It's definitely more video, but the caveat here, of course, kind of depends on what your learning style is or what your cognitive style is. So looks like pretty much everybody here is a visual, maybe a hands-on learner.
Yeah, right. And that's what I love about the video format is that you can watch it and then pause it and then do it.
Mhm.
And that's what they say. You learn by doing. That's like the best method, no matter what your learning style is, you learn by doing. And that's what the videos allow you to do, is to pause. If you miss a step, you rewind it, and then you watch it, and then you do it. So it's a great format. Now, there are definitely people that prefer reading. Absolutely. And more power to you. Because you can write down notes, you can document steps on your own, and sometimes writing it while you're learning helps you put it into long-term memory. But But with the videos and how short they are, a lot of times you get what you need when you need it, and then you can move on. So that's again my preferred method is video. And there's actually some research around this. Actually, the study that I found said that actually videos provide 50% more engagement than reading. And it actually increases production time of the content by 300%. And I'm sure many of you that are here probably do some sort of training development. And you know that when you're doing a written course, e-learning course, training course, student guide, instructor guide, etc., it's like months of development for one course. Whereas with a video, I can put out a video in 2 weeks or less, depending on the necessity and the need. But don't tell my manager. No, I'm kidding. And then I found that 86% of people prefer YouTube videos for learning. That's a huge jump, and I'm not surprised. Again, I go to YouTube for everything. My son was 12 a couple years back, and he was tearing apart his laptop watching a YouTube video at 12 years old. A laptop, which are not easy to take apart. So yeah, it's crazy. It's like the way of the future, honestly. So I was asked to write a series of articles for GovLoop last year. And as part of that, I was like, every good instructional design or program or process needs a model, right? We have the ADDIE model for e-learning and training. So I decided, you know what, I'm going to make a MASCII model for microlearning videos. And so the first step is microanalysis. And can anybody explain or tell me what you think microanalysis, what would take place in that step? And this one, if you can, come off of mute or you can put it in chat, but what do you think would happen during microanalysis? I'll do this one for 5,000 Kelly bucks. What do you think? What's in the chat?
Identify a single goal or an outcome, identification of the knowledge gap and subsequent learning objectives, sifting out what is not needed to focus on what is needed. That's from Betsy and from Jolly and from Valerie.
Excellent. Those are excellent answers. Thank you.
Destiny says chunking of information.
Yes. What I think of when I say microanalysis is breaking it down. You really need to break down your process, your action into micro steps. And that is a different way of thinking. With traditional training, a lot of times you put everything that's part of that process in the training. But again, a lot of times the problem with that is it's TMI, right? Too much information. I cannot retain cognitive overload, whatever you want to call it. I can't remember all this information. And you go to a training class for 8 hours for 5 days or 2 weeks straight. It's impossible to remember everything that's said in that training class. So with micro-learning videos, we want to break it down. And it's a different way of thinking. We want to break it down to one step, one action. And I literally did this last night. I was recording some videos, and one was how to fill out this training room request form. Is an online form, but the first part of their storyboard was how to access and find the form. And I was like, nope, this needs to be 2 different videos. And the customer's like, it's only like 30 seconds to find the form. And I was like, that's true. But if you already have access to the form, you've already saved it as a favorite, you already know where it's at, it's easy to get to, and you're watching the video on how to fill it out to request a training site, but you have to sit through the first 30 seconds of how to find it every time you launch that video, it's going to get real annoying really quick. So we break it up, make it its own video. If it's 30 seconds, great. The shorter, the better. Just provide them what they need based on the title of the video. And that's what we mean by microanalysis, is taking and identifying steps within a process and breaking them up into separate videos. Once you've done that, then you go into the storyboarding step, and I'll cover more of this as we go along. Storyboard's very important. It's how you relay the information from the SME, subject matter expert, to the shots developer. Oftentimes they're not the same person, and there's a reason for that. I'll cover that later. Once you've got the storyboard approved, then you move into creation, depending on what type of video you're creating, and then you implement it, publish it, launch it, send it out as a curriculum, as a preview to a meeting, etc. If there are any questions on this, let me know. Otherwise, I'm going to move on because I know we are only have an hour, and I could talk for days on this content. So there's two main types, and Carla mentioned it in the intro. We have demonstration-based microlearning videos, which are like the how-tos, and then we have presentation-based videos that are more like the information sharing videos. And here's some examples below. So Microsoft Teams would be a how-to, time entry, retirement, how to get your retirement estimate from your application or site. Those are all how-to videos. Presentations would be more along like equity, diversity, and inclusion, which we have a number of videos on that topic, such as how to make your workplace more inclusive. Or leadership, we have videos on servant leadership. And if anybody's familiar with that, there's 10 characteristics, and we actually broke up each characteristic into its own video so that you're not sitting through an hour of all this information when all you need to know is how to be more of an empathetic leader. Well, now you can just watch that short video on empathy, and you get that piece you need when you need it. Or alternative work schedules, AWS. That's also a video that we have. So when we're breaking it down into the analysis, only one means only one topic, one action, one process per video. Cut out the fluff. I like to think that the fluff is the nice to know. Really keep it down to the need to know information. Again, your title of your video should be the goal. That's the target. And everything within your content should be nothing more or less than what the title of the video is. One thing I like to say is nobody cares what year a law was enacted or a rule came to be that you have to follow. All you need to know is what's the law, what's the rule, and how do I do it? How do I do my job? And that's all your video should be focusing on. And then, of course, the KISS model. Keep it short and simple. This is the cleaned up version. But I love it. Keep it short and simple. Keep it to the point. Now, if you're doing a PowerPoint, a information sharing storyboard, these are some of the guides that we give our customers. First, keep it to 10 slides. That'll help keep your video to, and we like to target 3 minutes or less. A lot of times I'll ask people, if you go to YouTube and you put in a search and you get 2 videos on the same topic, one video is 8 minutes and the other one's 3, which video are you typically going to click on? For me, it's the 3-minute video, because I ain't got no time for 8 minutes. Like, that's just ridiculous, which sounds ridiculous, but it's human nature. We want quick. We want the shortest possible time to get the information we need. So that's what we try to do. Keep our videos to 3 minutes or less. Sometimes they might go a little bit over, but that's our goal, 3 minutes or less. So keeping your slides to 10 slides really helps in that. And then we tell our customers no more than 2 sentences per slide of narration. That's it, 2 sentences. Anybody tell me, why do you think we would want to limit it to 2 sentences? Like, you may say, that's not a lot of content or information. Why do you think we would say 2 sentences max? Do we have any responses? This will be for another 1,000 Kelly bucks.
Thomas Elliott requires them to focus. Attention span, concise is a skill.
Mm-hmm.
Limited brain processing information from how much information we can hold at one time,
Right.
time consuming.
Yep. I think you mentioned it. Attention span. That's the biggest reason. Honestly, attention span. And as if a slide sits for too long, even though there's talking, what do our minds tend to do? They tend to wander. They tend to think about what's for dinner. They tend to think about I have to pick up my kids and they have to do their homework, or I've got this meeting later on, or I get to go play volleyball tonight, or whatever it is. Because I coach volleyball on the side, so I have to throw that in there. And we're doing everything but paying attention because it's just a talking head at that point because the slide's not moving. So you need to have some movement, especially since these are microlearning videos. Videos should be moving. There should be something happening on the slide to coincide and reinforce the narration. And if you have paragraphs of narration for one slide, like forget it, you've lost your audience. So that's why we say keep it to 2 slides. And it really helps the writer, like somebody mentioned, keep it concise, keep it condensed to the point. It helps you cut out that fluff.
So Bridget is asking a good question. Are you really, Kelly, saying this? No more than 2 sentences spoken for each slide?
Yes. That's exactly what I'm saying. No more than 2 spoken sentences per slide. So each slide can have up to 2 sentences. That's it. That's exactly what I'm saying. Because again, if you're really focusing on what they need to know, it's not hard, honestly. Now, I will say, and I'll go to the next thing, is you can put minimal text on the slide, the 6x6 rule. I don't know if I'm sure many of you are familiar with this, but it means no more than 6 points of on the slide and no more than 6 words per point. And when I say point, I don't mean bullet point. In fact, I say there should never be bullet points on a screen ever. That's like the quickest way to turn off people. Like, this is gonna be a boring presentation because there's bullet points. Try to make it graphically interesting, like I'm doing here. These are points, but they're graphically interesting to look at. They're not just bullets. And if you can, try to use images. Images, again, they say 1,000 words. And please, no clip art. We're not in kindergarten. I'm sorry. Images make it more realistic. Use people in your images if possible. Screenshots if needed, but keep that to a minimum. Again, this is information sharing videos. So use images. And then if you want them to know more, then provide it as a hyperlink at the end of your video as a resources page. And then you can link them out to that additional information that they can go research on their own if they really want to know more or go deeper or dive or what have you. So that links helps keep those slides narration to 2 sentences because you're focusing on what they need to know based on the title of the video. So I hope that helped answer her question.
Kelly, we like your slides. Are we going to get access to your slides?
Yes, just to make a check payable to Kelly Barrett. Oh, wait. Yes, I can definitely provide this.
Okay.
And then I do have an example.
IRS employee.
I didn't say that. So here's an example of one of our storyboards for on AWS, Alternative Work Schedule. You'll see that there's 2 sentences of narration, and we have a graphic. Again, a graphic says 1,000 words. Now, there are some times when you have to use text because, like, how are you going to find a picture on a compressed work schedule or a flexible work schedule? So the way we do it is we put a chalkboard on the screen, and then we put text not in a bullet format, but free-flowing, freestanding. Or if you're talking about 549s, and then you're talking about 410s, and then you're talking about that you can't use work these schedules and earn credit hours, which is what we have at the IRS. Instead of comp time, you can earn credit hours, but not if you're working either of these schedules. So this again graphically, but text helps you understand what the little one sentence that I'm saying reinforces the slide. And then we can have a screenshot of a calendar of what it looks like for different pay period schedules. And we have a slide text on top just to kind of keep it straight. And then we talk about FlexiTour gliding and how many credit hours you can request or work. And then another graphic that kind of helps visually explain what the narration is saying. And then a screenshot of the form that you might need to fill out when you're requesting your AWS schedule. Now, this one might have a little more text. And so what we would do in a case like this, where maybe there's 3 sentences of text, is on the back end, when we're producing the video, we'll add a simple slow zoom so that there still is movement, even though the graphic is static. But there's still at least some visual movement happening on the screen. And you'll see this in news reports, your local evening news or whatever, is you'll see a lot of times almost every image they have on the screen is doing a slow zoom of some sort. So there's always something happening visually on the screen while the journalist is reading their script. And then, of course, you have your resources links at the end. So you can go to the National Agreement, our guidance document, the IRM, which is our Internal Revenue Manual, or our intranet homepage.
The IRM.
Yep.
A lot of people refer to that as Dr. IRM.
Yes, they do. I Utah, we were always taught IRM. Just say it out. Just say it straight. It's funny how different parts of the country change how they say that. But that's an example, like I said, of our type of storyboard. And there were more than 10 slides, but some of those slides were the same narration. It's just that we broke it up into, let me get back to, go back to this slide, sorry. Okay. Yeah. So then if you're doing a, so you've got your storyboard, you need to get approvals. You've got to get approvals from everyone that's going to be approving the video, but you will need the storyboards to be approved first. There's nothing worse than going in and you supposedly have the approvals, you record the video, you do the narration, you clean it up, the audio, you put it all together, you're really happy with it, you send it to the customer for their final review, and somebody that had never seen the storyboard finally views the video and they're like, oh, I don't like the way this was said, or I don't like how this was stated, or you forgot to add this. And you're like, why in the world weren't they a part of the approval process before they saw the video? And so now you have to try to re-record the narration to add in or change what they want. And I'm telling you, my voice changes daily, what I eat, drink, etc. Your energy level from day to day changes. And so trying to match your voice to the original recording is near impossible. So it never sounds right if you have to go in and re-add audio. So approvals. Make sure that everybody's seen it, that's going to see it, has approved the storyboard first, and ask them to read the script out loud before they approve it. Because our mouth voice sounds much different than our inner head voice. Our head voice will sound and read every word perfectly, no problem. But then our mouth voice is like, oh, that's a tongue twister. Or I can't say the acronym that fast. Or our tongues do not want to cooperate sometimes. And so it's good to hear it out loud. And so that's what I also tell my customers is please read it out loud before you approve the script. Once you do have that approval, then what we do is we simply save the PowerPoint slides as PNG images. And it's just as simply as save as and change the file type to PNG. and PowerPoint will spit out all your slides as individual PNG files for each slide and number them accordingly. Super easy, super quick. One thing to note though is typically our videos are widescreen format. You want to make sure that your PowerPoint, before you start doing the storyboards, or have your customer rather, make sure that their storyboard or their PowerPoint is set up in a widescreen format rather than the square format, which tends to be sometimes the typical format. So that's just one note to keep in mind. And then what we'll do.
Let me stop you for just a second, because
yeah.
there's a bunch of questions that are coming in the chat about accessibility. And I thought
Okay.
maybe Russ could turn on our closed captioning. And then if you could talk for a moment about what you're doing, because I know that you're compliant, ADA and 508 and everything else. So
Correct.
maybe you could just address it very quickly.
Yeah, absolutely. And if I get a chance, I'll do another webinar that's more on the technical side of creating videos. The software that we use is Camtasia. TechSmith is the company. I love it. I teach it and train on it. And then we also use Adobe Audition, and I was actually going to bring that up right here, is we record our audio, one audio file or WAV file per slide. And that helps you match up your slide to that slide's narration. Much easier. So that's how we format it. But on the back end, when we're ready to produce the video, we absolutely, Camtasia has built-in closed captioning. And so that's how we are 5-way compliant in our videos, is by closed captioning them ourselves. Once we've finished editing the video and putting it together, we'll then add the closed caption and then produce the video, which has a closed caption button on the player. Also, we also create a transcript of the video, so if people want the transcript, they can request it as well.
Okay, there were some comments about colors, backing, and so forth. So what do you typically try to do for, say, for people who may be colorblind, for example?
Right, for sure. Yeah, and we try to stay away from the reds and greens. Try to keep with the blues, grays, blacks, whites. This one's like a light blue, for instance. So that's what we try to stay with. And then font size, we definitely want to stay away from the is it sans serif with the little ticks on the edges of the like
right.
yeah, like the Times New Roman. Stay away from that. Like you want to stay with the Arials, the those types of fonts. They're just easier to read when it's a font on a screen rather than print. And then a font size too. You want to have a good font size. 26 or higher usually is a good font size to go with. And that's that. Again, we will format the slides for the customer. The customer, we just ask them for the script, and that's it. We actually have access to eLearning Brothers. IRS pays for that subscription service, and so that's where we get a large of our images is from that site. So we don't have to worry about copyright or anything like that. We've already paid for access to thousands of stock images.
Okay, do you have a compliance section that you have to turn the videos to ensure that it's compliant?
Not for 508, we don't. We do have a video editorial board that will check for basically that the videos are not what shall we say, humorous or off color or anything to that sort of thing. Whereas these videos are just simply information sharing. They're just straightforward to the point of work. We're able to get those approvals very quick based on our format and how short the videos are. But great questions.
Okay.
So moving along. So now we have our demonstration-based storyboards, and these are different. Again, the presentation-based are PowerPoint-based. However, demonstration-based storyboards are different in that we only want screenshots in the PowerPoint with the steps included. Not a script. Also include arrows and boxes to point to the different parts of the screen we should be clicking on and engaging with. But no script. We like to keep our narration more of a freestyle. Like I'm doing with you all here, is I'm just kind of explaining the steps as I go through it. And honestly, that makes the video easier to listen to rather than somebody saying, you're going to click here, over here, type this, over here. That's boring. Instead, you want somebody that's explaining it as they're doing it, almost like you're doing a desk share with somebody, but you're actually talking to yourself. But when you do the actual recording, again, we use Camtasia. It's a live screen recorder that I'll also narrate while I'm doing it, while I'm doing the action. That also allows the syncing to be perfect with what I'm saying and with what's happening on the screen. So when I go and edit out my mistakes, then my syncing is still intact because I'm editing both the audio and the video at the same time when I'm taking out my audio mistakes, which happens frequently. In fact, I was recording a video last night, ended up being 13 minutes in length. By the time I get it edited down and take out all the mistakes I did, it'll probably be 2.5 minutes long. That's what I mean by making mistakes. It's okay. Don't worry about it. Just edit it out later. Nobody will ever know. Just like any movie or TV show, there's lots of outtakes and bloopers. Nobody sees that unless they release the bloopers. But when you watch the movie and the TV show, it looks perfectly fine. You never know that they made mistakes or they laugh for 5 minutes. So here's an example. And again, I'll toggle over to this example. This one is on how to schedule a new ZoomGov meeting. And you can see the first PowerPoint slide is this screenshot. Make sure you're home, click the schedule button. Then the next screenshot is because the screen changed, so it becomes the next screen or the next slide in the PowerPoint. But you see my text box here with all my steps. And just simply, this is what they need to do. And here's the arrow pointing to the different spots on the screen that relates to the step. And then when I go to the next step, or different part of the screen, like I have to scroll down or what have you, then I'll make this the next part of the screenshot. And then these are the steps here that you want to mention. Click the save button. And then the final one is Outlook opens up, and then you could put in verify and put in who needs to attend, and then click the send button. Now again, when we're developing the video, we do not use these slides in the recording at all. These are just simply on our other screen to help us make sure that we're following the steps properly and appropriately and correctly when we're doing our actual live recording of ZoomGov in this instance and Outlook when it opens up. So this is just our guide of what to say and when to say it when we're doing our actual recordings. Hope that made sense.
It does.
Perfect. So before you record, here's some tips. Practice. That'll help keep your length of recording smaller, shorter, because you've kind of got a path of how you're going to say it. Describe your action location. This kind of goes back to that 508 question earlier as well, is especially if you've got somebody that is visually impaired, they can't read the closed captioning. This way you can at least tell them where the action is happening and what it is you're doing. So for instance, with Zoom, I would say click on the home, or ensure that you're on the home screen by clicking the home button at the top center of the screen. And then click on the schedule button, which is at the bottom left corner of the page. And then when the next screen comes up, then I'll say, and now up will come the scheduling window. So you're always describing in your narration the actions that are happening, windows that come up, fields that you're clicking on, areas on the screen that they need to be paying attention to, whether it's in the bottom left or top right of the screen where they're clicking the save button, etc. That greatly helps those that are visually impaired to follow along with the application that they have. And they can pause the video, do it live again, and then continue playing the video and keep up that way. And then, as mentioned earlier, speak like you're doing a desk share. That helps it sound more natural speaking, and it's easier to listen to when you're watching the video on the back end. And again, mistakes are okay. Don't worry. Don't kill yourself trying to do a perfect take, because you're going to kill yourself and you're going to go insane. Don't do it. It's not worth it. Just make mistakes and move on. And one trick or tip is you can do a little, like a click or a clap. That'll give you a visual cue in your audio WAV file where you're making another take. So if you're going to say you didn't like the way you said it, you can click and then say it again, and then click if you didn't like that one and say it a third time. And then that way you can visually see, oh, that's where my next take is. That's where my next take is. That's where my next take is. And almost always it's your last take. That's the good one.
Mistakes.
Yeah. It's almost always the last take. That's the good one. But that just helps you kind of visually see it.
Practice, practice, practice.
Yep.
You agree?
Exactly. I agree 100%.
Kelly, in the Navy, I had I helped to manage the video conferencing distance learning network for the entire Navy. It's a wonderful job. Really loved it. But I had an instructor one time, and you tend to remember the successes and the failures. This person refused to practice. He would not do any prep before he started at a very, very important interactive class session. Oh my goodness. That was a week, an entire week of training that went down the drain.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, seriously. Musicians practice, actors practice. Everybody does it or should be doing it. And we're not professional actors or musicians, most of us. So when you're doing these types of videos in your own organization, it's even more important to practice and do your due diligence. Great answer. Great anecdote. Thank you. So in the chat again, what audio issues causes distractions when you're viewing videos? Have you run across? As you're answering,
dogs barking.
Yeah, seriously, dogs barking or
potato
snoring.
chips. Potato chips
snores.
crunching.
Yeah, or squeaky
Snores.
Chairs. I've had that.
Chairs. Weed eaters outside of your window.
Oh yeah.
Lawnmowers.
Yeah, or any kind of
Background noise.
static, echo. Any of that can cause distractions. So I like to say that your video is only as good as the audio. If you have somebody that you can't understand, they have a very heavy accent, or they're very monotonous, or they mumble or can't enunciate well, that video is going to be really difficult to watch. And most people, more than often, are just going to turn it off. They're like, nope, I can't handle this. I'm going to go ask my friend. So your audio has got to be pristine. And that's what we try to do when we do our videos, is we'll actually bring our audio out into Adobe Audition, and edit out background noise, heavy breathing, all that stuff, so that our audio is as high quality as possible. Because audio makes or breaks a video. I believe that 100%. That'll be on the test. So you definitely need a quiet space. And I've heard people say that they'll actually go into their closet to record because you're surrounded by clothes. And it makes a great buffer from ambient noise bouncing off the walls, especially when you're in a small room with a lot of bare walls. That's really bad for recording, because your microphone will pick up that echo, that bouncing off the walls. So find a quiet space. As mentioned earlier, before the recording began for this session, my furnace was running, my heater was running, and they could hear that in the background as noise. And right now my wife's doing her blow dryer, so I don't know if you can hear that or not, but that's going on. And so there's things like that that you want to try to, like, I can't yell at her to stop because that's not a good idea. We just had Valentine's Day, but oh, there, she just finished on her own. So make sure it's quiet. And I've got a couple of kids, and they like to be loud when they're playing their video games, and I have to tell them, look, I better not hear you because I am recording, and it'll pick it up. My microphone will pick you up from downstairs yelling in your video games. So it's not easy to find a quiet space sometimes. So that's why I like to record either early morning or at night, because during the day, here where I live, I'm right by Hill Air Force Base. So the F-16s, the A-10s, whatever, are flying overhead right over my house quite often during the day. And that is very, very distracting. I can't put a sign on my roof that says, please don't fly here because I'm recording. I wish I could, but I can't. So so they'll probably turn on their afterburners just to get at me. So I call it the sound of freedom. I'm okay with it. I'm used to it by now. But that's why I record at night. One, there's a lot less traffic noise. Neighbors' dogs aren't usually barking as much. The neighbor kids aren't out playing around, especially during the summer. People aren't mowing, etc. Somebody said the weed whacker. Exactly. So that's when I like to record. Just that's when it's quiet, honestly. One other tip I like to say is to speak past the mic. And that's what I've been doing this whole presentation. My mic is off to the left of my mouth. I'm not speaking directly into it. For $1,000 Kelly, can anybody tell me why you typically do not want to speak directly into your microphones? And how are we doing on time? Anybody, any answers?
Yeah,
Lots of answers. Yeah, go ahead, Carla.
okay, just the popping sounds, sibilant S's.
Yes.
Darth Vader.
Right? I love it. I love it. Exactly right. Darth Vader. That's how I sound like when I'm breathing and narrating. I have to take that breath sounds out. I have
No
to.
breathing.
I can't.
No breathing while
Yeah.
you're speaking.
Yeah. You turn red in the face. That's fine. Just don't breathe. Yeah, the popping, the plosives is what they call it, is those P's, those T's that tend to explode and blow your eardrums out. Now there's filters that you can put in front of pop filters you can put in front of your microphone. That's great too. I'm just as fine speaking past the microphone. It sounds just as good, and it helps eliminate those plosives. And you got to get comfortable.
Let me just stop you quick.
Yeah.
What kind of microphone do you prefer? I noticed that you always have a headset on and the mic is built into the headset.
You're right. And I actually, when you're doing these types of recordings, do not use a headset. Don't do it. And that actually is a great, I'm going to actually do this right now. So I've been using the Blue Yeti. I don't know if you guys can see this, but this is my Blue Yeti. Hey, everybody. It's a table desktop microphone. It's got kind of its own pop filter built into it. The Blue Snowball is also an excellent microphone as well. But basically, a condenser USB plug and play microphone is what we recommend. Like I said, the Blues are very, very good microphones. Here's what it sounds like. Here's the difference. I'm going to change my audio to my headset. And now. So this is what it sounds like when I use my headset. And I don't know if you can tell the difference.
Oh, yeah.
But to me, yeah, the stand microphone is much more deep, more rich, captures more of my voice, and just sounds more professional, honestly. Whereas the headset mic is great for Skype meetings and virtual, training sessions and stuff like that. But when you're trying to produce a high quality that your director, your executives are going to be viewing, you want that high quality audio microphone for sure. Like I said, get comfortable and back to this. Smile. If you smile when you speak, it actually makes you sound happier. It raises your energy level. And it makes you sound like you actually believe in what it is you're talking about. You're excited about it. And so that's a really nice kind of quick trick that some people don't think about. But if you smile, it's just like, oh, like I do feel happier. uh, so it's a good trick.
We've got about 4 minutes left.
Yeah, so that actually takes me right about to the end of my presentation, but I was able to get a video, a shots video on my machine. So I'm going to go ahead and share it with you all, just since we have a few minutes, so you can kind of see what it sounds like, what one of our shots videos sounds like. So I'm going to go and put myself on mute and then play it. In this video, I'll demonstrate how to mute and unmute yourself in a ZoomGov meeting. First, once you're in a ZoomGov meeting, if you see that your microphone has a line through it, as I do here, that means that you're currently muted. Simply click on the microphone icon, which now means that your microphone is active. If you'd like to go back on mute, simply click on the microphone icon again, and the red line appears. If you'd like to temporarily unmute yourself, you can hold down the space bar, which then shows that you're temporarily unmuted. And when you're ready to go back onto mute, simply let go of the spacebar. You can also adjust your audio settings by clicking on the up arrow to the right of the microphone icon. You can then select your microphone, speakers, you can test your speaker and microphone, you can switch to phone audio if desired, you can choose to leave the computer audio if that's how you're connected, and you can choose to set additional audio settings. This opens up the audio settings window. You have these options to change your speakers. You can choose to increase or decrease your volume. And you have these options here along the bottom to either automatically join by computer when joining a ZoomGov meeting, or you can disable the press and hold space key to unmute, and you can disable the sync buttons on your headset. When you're finished with the screen, click on the X in the top right corner. Thanks for watching. So that's just a quick example. It's 1 minute 43 seconds, and it only shows you the muting and audio options in Zoom. Because sometimes maybe that's all you need. You're hung up. You're like, oh, I can't hear. They can't hear me. What's going on? How do I change my audio? You can watch the quick video and follow along. And now hopefully your problem is solved and you're on and running with the races, as they say.
Hey, Kelly, I think we're
yes.
at the end of our time. Was there anything else you wanted to add really quickly?
No, I just, I love this process, this concept of microlearning videos. I truly believe it's the way people are going to already learn outside of work. You know, nobody tells people to attend a class to watch a YouTube video to learn how to, you know, build a fence or install their sprinkler system or whatever it is that they're doing. People inherently, natively go to YouTube to find answers on their own when they need it. This just provides that opportunity for all employees internally to do the same thing. So they're not asking questions from those around them, bugging them, taking them away from their work, making them less productive. And you can get the answer you need immediately and go on with the rest of your day. So I think it's a great way to learn. I hope you all think so too. And thank you for attending my session today.
Kelly, thank you. It's a wonderful session. I think there's so many people writing and saying great presentation and thanking you for what you've done today, letting them know. And at 702 videos, I can't wait till it's up to 800 by next year.
Oh,
so
yeah.
we will have you back to do the more lengthier or more information about how to actually produce the videos. I think it's a great idea. We will do that. So thank you, Kelly, for being with us. And thank you all for joining us today. It has been a pleasure to be with you. And Russ, we want to thank you and Zoom for being with us and sponsoring everything that we do. We are so happy to have you with us. That concludes the webinar. Thank you all for joining us. Good evening.